Arsenal have 2 massive games on the horizon. And in my opinion, Mikel Arteta has a massive decision to make in this game. I think there will be some difference of opinions, and that's why I want to bring it in, because I think we can have a discussion on it. But also, unfortunately, the last day or so, we've been hearing some news coming out about Gabriel Magalhães, so I wanted to touch on that as well. Like I said, I want to hear your guys' opinions. Before we get into it, if you could just do me the favour of giving me a thumbs up on this video if you enjoy the daily Arsenal content. So let's start with the thing that I'm worried about, okay? So we've had a discussion recently over the left-back position. The next area we need to have a discussion on is the central midfield position. We got Partey and Jorginho, in my opinion, now battling it out for this position. And I want your guys' help. Who do you go with, not only in this game against Villa, but the game against Bayern Munich? Because can you start Jorginho in this game against Villa, in the game against Bayern Munich, when he started against Bayern Munich, played 90 minutes against Brighton? Is that too much football for a player like Jorginho? You know, go back a few months ago, he wasn't even starting every single game. And now he's sort of in a position where, you know, he's one of the first names in that central midfield position. Now, that's earned. It's on merit. He's been doing very well when he's been given the opportunities to play that position. Look, I like Jorginho. I think he's a very good player. I like the way he dictates play. And I just like sometimes, you know, when there's some nerves about it, the way he can just slow a game down, just breathe, slow the game down and then continue play. So I do like Jorginho. It has his benefits. But for me, if I'm looking at our strongest midfield, I still think if we can get all these guys up to the level they're capable of producing, then I still see the strongest midfield as Declan Rice, Thomas Partey and Martin Odegaard. That would be the strongest midfield three in my opinion. Let me know your thoughts on that. But, you know, do you play Jorginho in the game against Aston Villa to then play Thomas Partey in the game against Bayern Munich? Because I've seen some reports coming out today that maybe Thomas Partey will start the game against Aston Villa. If Thomas Partey starts the game against Aston Villa, it could actually be a masterstroke. Because say if you do start, like I said, Thomas Partey, and he actually plays well, I think you can bring him off after 60 minutes, knowing that he's on form, to then put him in for that game against Bayern Munich. Because I think you're going to need players who are defensively strong in that Bayern Munich game. We saw in the first leg, you know, the amount of gaps, not only in defence, but in midfield as well. It was at times like, where are the players? So I think Thomas Partey will probably naturally sit slightly deeper than Jorginho. Now, we saw last season, Thomas Partey did have a habit of getting forward. He kind of trademarked his own finish, so we know what he can offer in terms of the opposition third. But for me, since Thomas Partey's come back, he seems very content on sitting deep, you know, just getting on the ball. And he has looked rusty at times, but I think the last few performances from Thomas Partey, I think he's actually looked pretty good. I think he's looked pretty confident. And let's not forget, he was the guy who found that cutting through ball for Saka on the potential Saka penalty. So Thomas Partey is very good at not only sitting deep, but when he does get forward slightly, when we're kind of strangling the opposition, he does have a habit of being able to find them through balls, which is something we can also say against Jorginho. Jorginho's eye for a pass is very good. Now, in terms of speed, you would probably think that Thomas Partey is the faster of the two. But since Thomas Partey's come back, again, he maybe hasn't looked quite as match sharp as Jorginho. I remember in the Bayern Munich game, I saw Jorginho blasting past Kiwior, who's apparently one of our fastest players. So I don't think Jorginho's super slow, but I don't think he does have the legs of a Thomas Partey when Thomas Partey is in top form. So I just wanted to kind of get your guys' opinions. You know, what do you do in the Aston Villa game? Do you start Thomas Partey? And then if he plays good, bring him off, bring Jorginho on, and then start Thomas Partey in the game against Bayern Munich? Or do you think in that away leg at Bayern Munich, you have to have the experience of Jorginho, the vocal nature that Jorginho plays with? You know, he's always talking, he's always shouting, he has plenty of experience in the game. So I just wanted to get your guys' opinion on that. And then in other news, we've heard that Gabriel, you know, could be carrying something, and he is in doubt for this game against Aston Villa. Now, you never know with Arsenal injuries, and this is the frustrating thing, because you hear one thing, then all of a sudden the player's playing. Like the other day, we heard Saka was out, and then he's starting over sort of Martinelli was rested. So, you know, you can never take the news serious. I don't think Mikel Arteta will ever confirm 100% in a press conference. You know, I haven't heard it yet at the time of recording this, but Gabriel, can we afford to rest him in this game against Villa if it means him being fit for that Bayern Munich game? Look, in the Premier League, you always need to play your strongest team, for sure. And Gabriel is, of course, in that strongest team. But could this be a game where we maybe see Tomiyasu given that left-back position? I know a lot of you guys in the last video were happy to see Tomiyasu be introduced for the game against Aston Villa. But does that maybe leave you with a decision to make on Gabriel? Can you maybe rest Gabriel or start him on the bench and start Kiwior in that position? I can't even remember seeing Kiwior play that left centre-back position, which is why he was brought in originally. You know, he's only been forced out into left-back because of Arsenal's injuries. So it probably would be good to see him in centre-back. I'm sure we have at some point. It's just such a long time ago that I can't really remember how he played. But can you do that in a game against Aston Villa? Or do you have to look at it and say, listen, if Gabriel's fit, you have to play him? That might be the way that I look at it. Gabriel is so important to this team that I don't think we can afford to lose him. Look, it might be an unpopular opinion, but at times I think Gabriel may even be Arsenal's most important defender. I look at it at times when people are giving all the praise to Saliba and think, listen guys, Saliba's a brilliant player. I love him. I think he's brilliant. But at times, Gabriel is just as important. And if not, maybe even more so. We know Gabriel is the talker of the back line. He's the guy that dictates. He's the guy that drags everyone up. He's the guy who's always talking. He's the vocalist of that back line. So at times, even if you have got a player with slightly less ability, now I don't think Gabriel has. I actually think he's one of the most underrated centre-backs in world football. But, you know, having that vocal leader, the guy that's going to talk, is just as important. And with the fact of how aggressive he is as well, you're going to lose that with Kiwior. I don't think Kiwior is as aggressive as a Gabriel. He might be more, you know, comfortable on the ball, maybe like a Saliba. You know, he seems quite athletic. He's not quite as strong as Saliba. But like we have seen from the things that have been released, he's a very quick centre-back. So, you know, that's all I wanted to ask. Can we afford to rest Gabriel in this game? In my opinion, I don't think we can. But at the same time, it would be interesting to see Kiwior in that centre-back position. But I just don't want him to come in after getting hooked in that game against Bayern Munich. You know, you're bringing in a player who got hooked at half-time. How does that affect the player? You know, I've been listening to TalkSport, and players like Gabriel Magalhães, Darren Bent, have come out and said, when you get hooked at half-time, it's embarrassing. It does affect you. You know, you are slightly embarrassed. You never want to get hooked at half-time because it probably means you've done something wrong in the game. So then everyone's able to judge you because they've seen that you get hooked at half-time. I don't know. I hope Gabriel's fit. But the main thing is, you know, like I said, about that central midfield position, I just don't know what we're going to do. And in terms of the title race, it's going to be, you know, Arsenal have the hardest game of this match weekend. Don't get it twisted. You know, Liverpool have a fairly difficult game in Palace. I think Liverpool are capable of dropping points. I mean, I've said that so many times this season. But Liverpool just have managed to keep grinding out these results. But I think midweek we saw that vulnerability with Liverpool. This is what I've been waiting to see waiting for to happen in the league with Liverpool. I think they are suspect at times. I think they are capable of dropping points. You know, we saw them at home midweek to Atalanta. They got battered 3-0. So I'm hoping that form can carry over into the Premier League, because I've been waiting for that to happen in the league. But Liverpool just seemed relentless in being able to grind out these results. You know, they go 1-0 behind and then they just get out of it because their attack is so strong. But for me, look, they have a strong midfield. I like players like Alexis McAllister. I think he's brilliant. But it does take time for a midfield to sort of, you know, hold together. They've replaced their whole midfield, so it's never going to click straight away. And I've just always thought there is a vulnerability there about Liverpool that I think they can be exposed. Defensively as well, they have some brilliant individual players, but at times they are suspect. And that's been seen by them going a 1 goal down within the first 10-15 minutes at time. So hopefully Liverpool can drop points. Hopefully there's still some a down feeling at that football club and they go into that game against Palace and lose. Liverpool will lose before the end of the season, in my opinion. That's why I've said I'm more concerned about Man City. And Man City have an easy game this weekend. I'm expecting them to be able to not only get the 3 points, but rest some players. I think they're playing Luton. When Arsenal played Luton, we rested 5 or 6 players. So Man City could be doing that, and then they go into their Champions League game. Champions League game fresh. But it is still all to play for. Arsenal still hold all the cards. Our destiny is in our own hands, and we can't ask to be in a better position. But let me know your thoughts on everything you've heard in this video. Who do you play centre midfield? Do you go with Partey in this game? Do you go with Jorginho? But then also, who do you go with in the Bayern Munich game? And also, Gabriel. Can we afford to rest Gabriel? I don't think we can, but let me know your opinion on that. Thanks so much to everyone for watching and listening. Before you go, if you could just do me the favour, giving me a thumbs up on this video, just like it, and subscribe, and I'll speak to you all in tomorrow's video. Gooners, have a good day.